The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.
Pow. What's up, guys? Well, I got another Beth Avenue story for you. I hope everybody's good out there. It's Friday. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Everyone's staying safe. A lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. A lot of crime out there. But today's video is I'm going to be talking about shaking down a car dealership back in the day that this guy Joe Light hit me off with. Now, back in the day growing up, you always hung out on the corners in the neighborhood, and you're always looking for a scheme, looking for a score. If you got a good score, you made a couple of dollars, it lasted you for a little while. But when you made money, it always went fast because me personally, every time I made money, I would spend it. I would enjoy myself. I would bless some of my friends. I would bless my family. And I would always think that I would just do another score and make money. But obviously, I found out the hard way, and it don't work like that. When you make money, you have to sock it away and save it for a rainy day and eventually reinvest it. This way, life gets easier. And some of my friends did that. I wasn't one of them. For example, Chris Paciello, he had a grandfather that always told him, save your money. If Chris made, say, for example, $100,000, he would take $5,000, put in his pocket, and the other $95,000 he would stash. He was a smart kid. He had a little direction. I didn't have that direction. My grandfather never told me that. My father was in Manhattan. He was working a 9 to 5, and after he finished working, he used to go to the bar. But everyone has different stories. Me personally, I never saved money. If I made $1 million right now, I'd probably buy a nice house, put some money away for my kids, and just enjoy life and try to live as long as I can. But this story is about a car dealership located on Coney Island Avenue. Some guy, Joe Light, turned me on to these two guys that own a dealership. And the kid Gonzo and Michael Yamin is involved. Now, Gonzo and Michael Yamin, they were Paulie Galino's goons. And anything Paulie G said, they would do. If someone needed to get shot, Paulie G would tell them, listen, you see that kid over there? Go shoot him. And they would do it. But, that's what they were good at. Growing up, these are the things we did. Unfortunately, that's the life we lived. Some of us survived it. A lot of people didn't. Who's doing prison time, who cooperated, who's dead. You know what? There's no good. Nothing good came out of it regardless. But I'm here to tell a story. So in the beginning of the story, there's these two guys that own a dealership on Coney Island Avenue. Joe Light comes to me. He tells me about them. I go to Paulie G. I said, Paulie, I said, there's these two guys. I like to go in there. Maybe I can use the kid Mikey and me and the kid Gonzo. And Paulie G says, okay, tell me about it. We're going to shake them down. We're going to try to get $50,000 out of them. Now, the mob, what they do is they use fear to get money out of people. For example, if you know somebody that's close to you and they have money, you use someone else in the street to approach them and bother them, put a little fear in them, and then they come running to you. And then when they come running to you, you run to your wise guy. You let them know, listen, I have a guy that can help you. You run to your wise guy, and it's going to cost them a fee. And then your problems will go away. That's how the mob works. And they're still using that racket today. So anyone who has money that's close to the mob is usually a victim. That's the way it works. That's how the mob makes money. That's one of the ways of how the mob makes money. So I use Mikey Yamin, and I'll tell you, every time I use Mikey Yamin, he was always a jinx. He was never a good luck guy. But this is Michael Yamin. Now, Mikey Yamin's like 6'2" or something. He's a big kid. As you see, he's not a handsome guy. You know, he's not the most masculine fellow in the world. That's for sure. I'll tell you. And look at his face. I mean, that's a face only a mother could love. Honestly, guys, come on. Seriously. You know, and then I used Gonzo. Gonzo was a decent guy, you know, a lot smaller than Mikey Yamin, stand-up kid, and one of Paulie G's goons. So Mikey Yamin and Gonzo, they walk into this car dealership and they have guns on them. And they tell them, I say, listen, we're here because you have to start paying. And the guys are just looking at them and they're threatening them. They're telling me, well, you know, if you don't pay, you're going to have a problem. We don't care who you're with. You have to start paying every week. If not, we're going to burn the place down and we're going to kill you and stuff like that. They start throwing threats at them. Now, these guys are a little scared. After they're done threatening them, they jump back in my car. I take off. They tell me what happened. I go back to Paulie G. I explain to Paulie G what happened. And now we wait a couple days. We see if they come out with any money. If they come out with money, they come up with money, then we split it. You know, Paulie G will get some money. I'll get some money. Mikey Yamin, Gonzalez, they'll get a couple dollars. And this is the way the street works. You find somebody with money, someone that could be close to you, someone you don't know. You put a little fear into them, and you solve their problems by give us a couple of hours and we can help you. That's just the way it goes. So a couple of days go by. Mike and me, Gonzalez get in my car. I drive him back to the dealership, and they walk into the dealership and they tell them, we're here for the money. You paying or not? If not, we're going to fucking burn this place down and we're going to fucking kill you. Now, when they do this, all of a sudden, the guys put up a beef. There's a problem. I think the guy pulls out a gun, and now they got guns pointing at each other. And this guy wasn't going for it. So he says he has a guy, meaning a wise guy, that we could talk to. So in the end, I had to grab Joe Benanti. There's Joe Benanti with Vincent Bassiano and Big Dominic Trin. Joe Benanti is an old-time wise guy. And Joe Benanti never had nothing back in the day. You know, we made Joe Benanti who he was. This is actually another picture of Joe Benanti when he was a young kid. And he ended up doing like a 20-year bid, but he was a wild man. They used to call him Bullet Head. So we grabbed Joe Benanti, and they end up having, I think, a guy by the name of Joe Mans. He was a Genovese guy. Joe Mans steps up for them. I have to grab Joe Benanti, and they end up having a sit down, and everything's squashed. But back in the day, those are the schemes we used to come up with. If you knew somebody with money, you would finagle, put a little fear into them, and have someone approach them. And then they would come running to me, come running to somebody they know, and then you solve their problem for a couple of dollars. That's one of the tactics the mob uses. For example, what we did was some kid, Vinny Gork. I said this story once before. The kid, Vinny Gork, was robbing banks. He was Gerard Bellafiore's friend. And he made maybe $200,000 one weekend. And I sent Fabrizio and the kid, Mike Yamini, to his house. on 24th Avenue and Bath. As soon as Vinny Gore comes out of the house, Fabrizio Micamini gives him a beating. After he gives him a beating, he runs to Gerard. He says, Gerard, Fabrizio, no, Micamini was here. They gave me a beating. They wired his jaw, everything. And Gerard Bellafiore tells him, you know what? I could talk to Jimmy and Paulie Galino. They're friendly with them. And they talk to me. And I go back to Vinny. I said, listen, for $50,000, I could solve this problem. And you know what? Make it go away. So you know what? We got $50,000 out of him. And the problem goes away. But these are the tactics they use on the street. Fair will always work. And you always want to find people with money in the street. So this is just a short Bath Avenue story. I hope you enjoyed it. To everyone, have a good weekend. Now, this week coming up, Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to have Tommy Dades and Mike Vecchione on. They are both co-authors of Friends of the Family, The Mafia Cops. Mike Vecchione used to be a state prosecutor and a whole bunch of other hats he used to wear. You know, Tommy Dades was a first grade detective. And they're going to be talking about the Skull case. The Skull case is a story about someone who found a skull. And they discovered a skull and they wanted to know who this guy was, whose head it was. And eventually there's a mob associate that comes forward and he explains who it was and he gives help information about the story. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. That's going to be probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And it's going to be a really good story. It's called The Skull Case. So with that said, I'm wishing you all a good weekend. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. I was around Brooklyn today. Check out the video before this. And with that said, everybody, enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. God first. I'll see you soon. Bye.
The streets will never make you grow. It's not a seed, it's a gutter. There's no happy endings in this life. So this is my message to you. The streets will never love you back.